Welcome inside the SJHL Insider offices. I'm your host. Oh, you got me. You got me. Welcome inside the SJHL Insider studios. I'm your host, Clark Munroe. Welcome to another edition of SJHL Insider. It's been a weird week. We're going to recap the week of postponements, but there was a couple of games that worked their way in as well. And we're going to be joined by one of the hardest working goaltenders in the SJHL, Spencer Borsos of the Notre Dame Hounds. So that should be exciting. He just came off a couple of big games against the Kindersley Clippers in Wilcox. Plus, we're going to look at the league scoring leaders, the goalie leaders, the standings, our SJHL Fantasy League, Movember. We got a whole lot of stuff going on, so it's a big show ahead. But first, let's have a look at our sponsors and thank them. We have to thank UPL. We'll start there. They are our broadcasting sponsor for all of our shows and everything we do that you watch. So thank you, UPL. But also Canterra Seeds, Borgo, Capital Auto Mall, Sask Lotteries, Chevrolet, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Nutrien, Tourism Saskatchewan, our highlight of the week sponsor, which we have basically, we're just going to spoil it. I think we have the highlight of the week that we're going to show you on the show today. We're going to spoil it for next week, but that's okay. Sask Energy, SGU, Great Western, SGI, and RBC. Thanks to all of our sponsors because they do a great job helping us do all the stuff that we do for you guys, for fans, for the players, for parents. So all the thanks to all of our sponsors. And let's bring in the man of the hour here. And I say that because he's got quite a story that we're going to get into. Jamie Neugebauer, voice of the Notre Dame Hounds. You've been busy the last couple nights. Co-director of media with the SJHL as well here at IKS Media. Jamie, it's been a weird week. We had 5 games scheduled to talk about on this show. 3 of them got postponed. 1 to next week. The other 2, I don't know if we've come up with the dates for the other 2 yet, but we'll talk about that later if we want to. But you have a great story about last night's game, and it wasn't even about the game. It didn't even happen during the game. It happened after the game. Do you want to?
Yeah. Well. So yeah. Thanks for that. Always great to be here.
Yes.
So first of all, the postponement night. The only game that happened was Notre Dame, and I kind of looked at the weather, and it looked like there was a little corridor from Kindersley to Wilcox.
Yeah, there was
for a little bit better weather maybe than everywhere else. So I was wondering if maybe that was the only game that would go down, and it did. And then, of course, Clark, being a hero, drove to Wilcox and did color
hero
for me.
Might be a stretch.
Big time
I think
hero. He did
Clark
color
being
for me, this guy.
Clark being a dumb person decided to make the drive
what a
out
hero.
there.
Everybody if wherever you're sitting or standing, maybe hold onto your steering wheel, but give yourself a round of applause. Give Clark a round of applause.
That was an interesting drive
for coming down and doing color for me in the night that the Hounds won. And then on the way home was not a fun drive. Fun drive in the middle of the night.
Honestly, I'll tell you this though, my experience driving home was better than driving out there.
Really?
For whatever reason, it was better.
For me, it all makes such a difference if there's light, I guess.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see the lines a bunch on Highway 6, but anyways.
Well, I drove dark both ways. You left earlier than I did, so you had light when you drove, but I had dark both ways.
Well, then you had different things to compare.
Yeah,
to.
exactly.
So that was fun, but we all survived and it was fine. But then the next day, because of cars and stuff, I actually, and thank you very much to the Kindersley Clippers. The Clippers bus took me from Regina to Wilcox, so I got to jump on the bus. I spoke to Dawson Carroll about the Orange Toad in Flin Flon, the coffee shop, and not always great time to talk to Dawson Carroll, as we found out on SJHL Weekly.
He's a great kid.
And just joked around with a few guys that the Clippers had acquired my CJHL playing rights for about half an hour. But and then after the game, I had to do an in-arena announcing gig for the AAA Hounds as they played the Swift Current Legionnaires, which was actually a pretty good game. But then after that, Joel Hyden and the team medic for the Hounds and I went, and there was a big accident on Highway 6. Oh, no. So instead of sitting and waiting on the highway, we decided to take crazy grid roads, and we got stuck in a big snowdrift around 10:30, 11 at night. Big snowdrift, and so we're like, do we call CAA? People kept stopping to try to push us, but we were all hung up. In the end, a bunch of the players, 5 of them, in fact, Ripley Garden, McLean Cooney, Ian Biors, Ryan Carr, and Liam Hunks all came and pushed us out and shoveled us out. And so kudos to you guys, big ups, and I've had an interesting week.
They dug deep, we said.
Yes, Josh Biggs, the former president of the Estevan Bruins, was commenting on Facebook pretty entertainingly that they dug deep and figured it out.
Pucks in deep. Shovels in deep.
Yeah.
So anyways, congrats to you for getting out. And a big shout out to those 5 players who came and dug you guys out, because that's a cool story.
Yeah.
Let's get into the Prairie Proud hat trick. course, presented by our friends at Prairie Proud. These are Movember hats, and we'll get into Movember later on in the show. But our friends at Prairie Proud are going to adorn this desk with goodies, and we're going to be wearing stuff soon. We haven't gotten it yet, but shout out to Cole and everybody out at Prairie Proud, because it's a really cool company, Nugsy. Small company, started just outside of Yorkton, several years ago, and a lot of their, I don't have the hat. This is a Movember hat. But a lot of their stuff there's a charity aspect to it. Money goes back to great causes, et cetera, et cetera. So it's awesome, and it's all here in Saskatchewan. So it's a great company to be partnered with. Can't wait to get some of their gear. There is 2 games to recap, so let's look at those recaps now. Let's start with Tuesday night. As we mentioned, me and Nugsy were on the call for this one. A 4-2 Notre Dame victory. Fantastic night in Notre Dame. We'll get into kind of what happened before the game that led into the game and all that stuff. And then on Wednesday, as Nugsy said last night, a 6-4 Clippers revenge game. So let's start with Tuesday, Nugsy. Multi-point games from Hudson Kerr, Ryan Carr, and Nick Jean, plus a 28-save performance by Spencer Borsos, our special guest on the show today. Propelled, that's a Clippers joke because they're planes, propelled the Hounds to a victory over the Clippers, who got goals from Mason Egan. Great goal by Mason Egan, by the way, and Zach Anderson, along with 26 saves from rookie goaltender sensation Brett O'Halloran. But the real story happened before the game even started on this one. Can you just kind of explain what led into the game, let alone the game itself? We'll talk about the game, but the start of the game, before the game even started. It started late. Why did it start late?
Well, right, yeah. So the Kindersley Clippers, and I wondered how early would they leave Kindersley.
Yeah.
But funny enough, Clayton Jardine did send me, the head coach and GM of the Clippers, sent me a picture from Kindersley that morning, and there wasn't a drop of snow or rain anywhere in Kindersley. It was beautiful.
Dry as a bone.
So, yeah, he's like, oh, yeah, we're playing for sure. And the funny thing is, and we can get that also into the Wednesday story, is that the Wednesday story was a game that was postponed from previous in the year. So there was a lot of urgency to get both of these games in for a lot of reasons. But the Clippers, they didn't stop for pregame meal. Jardine said, bring your food on the bus to the Clippers guys, and they all brought their own food, I guess. So they drove sort of 6.5 hours straight from Kindersley to Wilcox. We did push warm-ups back. Did push the game back. I think puck drop was around 8:10 probably. Yeah. Something like that. And I believe Clark, you even were like, I think I'll arrive just on time for the game. Yeah. Turned out you had a little bit more time.
Yeah, I walked into the building at 7:30, and I was like, because it was quite the drive from just Regina to Wilcox. So I walk in 7:30. I'm like, man, I'm going to be late for the broadcast. Nugsy's going to hate me. The puck's going to be dropping as I walk in the door. And as I walk in the door, I see the guys are just getting ready to go out for warm-ups. And I'm like, what happened? So then anyways, I see Clayton Jardine. He's like, Clayton's quote to me was, why did you even come? I'm like, I wanted to watch some hockey. He's like, the roads are brutal. Why are you here? I'm like, well, I had to make the trip. Yeah. And Nugsy, you said 6.5 hours for the bus ride. I just Googled it. The normal drive from Kindersley to Wilcox is 4 hours and 4.25 hours. So it took 2 extra hours, 2.5 almost, for them to get there.
Well, yeah. And it took us, I think it should be like 25 minutes maybe from Regina to Wilcox. Yeah. It took me like an hour and 20.
Hour 20, about that for me too. Yeah, I was stuck behind somebody going 30, and I'm not mad about that. It was the safe thing to do at the time, but yeah, it was tough. It was a tough drive.
But you're a hero, Clark. Good for you.
No, I'm dumb. That's what we're going with today. But anyways, the game itself, Nugsy, we get into a 4-2 Notre Dame win. Again, goals from Hudson Kerr, Ryan Carr, Nick Jean. It was a great game from everybody. What was your breakdown of that game?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, and as the Hounds should, and if the Clippers were in the Hounds' shoes, that situation, you need to jump on the other team in the first period, and the Hounds jumped on the Clippers in the first period, and actually Brett O'Halloran had to make all sorts of great saves to keep the game from being worse than it was. Yeah. In the first, the Hounds outshot the Clippers 13-6, outchanced them big. The Nick Jean, Hudson Kerr, Ian Bior's line continues to be one of the best young lines in the SJHL. Bar none, they have been terrific lately. They got 2 goals in that period to make it 2-1, and the Hounds are flying high. And then by that point, the situation for the Clippers is they've had this long bus trip, and now they have to rally, and it's on big ice. And they did give it all, but I think probably Clayton Jardine and the staff went home after the game and thought that maybe they left some energy and some effort on the table. And that's just the fact. And the Hounds kind of outplayed them and outworked them. that night. And, they get a nice breakaway goal. Every defenseman's dream, especially defenseman, Clark.
Yeah.
You're sitting in the penalty box, and then you get out of the penalty box, and that's what happened with Ryan Carr. And then Hudson Kerr, who's one of the best passers that I've seen in this league, honestly, he found Ryan Carr on a quick breakaway and banged it in, and everybody dreams about that when you're sitting in a penalty box. So Ryan Carr gave the Hounds a 3-1 lead, big breakaway. Zach Anderson scored one on a snapshot, a bar down, but a big goal by Marko Djordjevic in the third to make it 4-2, kind of sealed it. And it was a huge win for the Hounds. 1-for-1 on the power play again. Nate Jean with a great tip on a high power play tip there. The pucks were going in a little bit more on Tuesday than it was on Wednesday for the Hounds, but that's the way she goes. And the Hounds find a way to win a hockey game that wasn't pretty, but it was very entertaining. I was entertained.
Yeah, I thought definitely, like you said, the Hounds did a great job jumping out quick. I thought the Clippers had a nice second half of the game, but at that point they were already down. They were playing from behind. It's always tough to do that. You can't start halfway through a game, and circumstances are what they were. But let's move to Wednesday now, because the Clippers came back for vengeance, and it was an interesting game, to say the least. Cody Jamin made 37 saves, while Spencer Borsos had 29. But the Clippers did skate away and hit the road with a 6-4 victory. 4 multi-point games by Kindersley, 3 from the Hounds. So it was a high-scoring affair, 10 goals overall, 6-4. Nugsy, break down this one for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, a couple young bucks really pushing the water, whatever you call it, for the Clippers.
Yeah.
Stein Dostal, boy, is he a good player. I was talking to Clayton Jardine a bit about him today, actually, and he's like, can you believe that we were kind of one of his few options for people interested in him? And I was like, man, oh man, like they got a good young player, quick, great face-off man, and he's really growing, and whatever role that Clayton Jardine's putting him in, he seems to be, really putting it together, while some of the older guys on the Clippers are trying to find their footing right now, maybe a little bit. So some of the younger guys really stepped up, and this game was back and forth. The Clippers had a 3-1 lead. The Hounds made it 4-3 on a rally, and then with 10 minutes left in the third, the Clippers scored 3 in a row, and the Hounds looked like by far the more tired team in the third period, especially. Just weren't connecting any kind of passes. Everything was, jumbled and bumbled, and there was no connection between the team. And the Clippers really took advantage. It was a good shot by Kyler Smith to tie it at 4, and then Odin George shot a puck. It hit a guy, then it hit Ethan Andrews in the face, and then it bounced in behind Spencer Borsos. And that was kind of the key to the game, Clark, is that the pucks were bouncing everywhere, flying everywhere, and when the Hounds would get a weird bounce and it would flip in the air, it would miss the net, and when the Clippers took a funny shot, it would bounce and it would go in. So there was a couple from behind the goal line. Obviously, Stein Dostal scored his first career goal. And then Ethan Sotner.
Oh,
what
boy.
a goal! Maybe we could let's just show it. Let's just show it. We got it. Let's show it.
Carr, dangerous pass in the middle, stepped in nicely there by Cunningham. Steps away from Free Gang. Down low, they score! What a beauty by Ethan Sotner! Little play down low between his legs. Carr, dangerous pass in the middle.
Nice.
Stepped
This
in
is
nicely
a replay of the replay.
there by Cunningham.
Yeah,
Steps away from Free Gang.
an interesting
down
play.
Low, they score! What a beauty!
There we go.
Yeah. Shades of Logan Linklater.
Yeah, Logan, exactly. But great play by Braden Cunningham, too, to keep the puck in the zone, make the play, patience with the puck, all that stuff, too. Just a quick note on Stein Dostal, because you mentioned him. First 7 games of the year, 7 games of the year, no points. 0 points, nothing. Since then, he's played 12 games, 12 points, and he only has he hasn't scored in 4 of those games. So he has points in 8 of his last 12 games to have 12 points. So he's on fire. He's filling in real nice for that Kindersley team. And like you mentioned, he's from Juneau, Alaska.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And he takes all their big face-offs.
Yeah.
Like everybody kind of has their weapon on the face-off. You think about Cole Thomas and Larange.
Yeah.
You think about obviously Marko Djordjevic on Notre Dame, Jackson Allen on Battleford, etc. Go down the list. Braden Skogstad for Humboldt. Stein Dostal is it right now for Kindersley. Every time there was a big D-zone face-off, it was him. So, big time kudos. And you mentioned all those points he's getting. That was his first goal of the year.
First
open
goal.
the scoring, and a nice little feed from Ethan Sotner at the side, and one-timer posted in by Dostal. So congratulations to Stein Dostal. And I think it was one that the Hounds felt they needed. They should have had, that's 6 of the last 7 games, or 3 kind of back series against the same team twice in a row now for Notre Dame, that all of them, they've either been leading in the third period or tied in the third period and found a way to lose. They were up 3-1 in Battleford's, found a way to lose in overtime. They were tied in L'Orange, ended up losing that one in regulation. And then they were winning this one 4-3 after a great rally, a couple of great minutes from Liam Hunks in the second period. And just, again, found a way to lose a hockey game. And that's tough. Spencer Borsos was brilliant on Tuesday. I'm sure it's been a long time since he's had a game that maybe he would want back. I guess we can just ask him. Yeah. But probably wants yesterday back a little bit. But neither him or Cody Jamie were particularly sharp, so that's also a big piece.
There you go. Well, Nugsy, I'm going to maybe throw a curveball at everybody here. This is we're
You're
obviously
a great baseball player. So
thank you. Yeah, I have a good curveball too. But that was topic 1 of our hat trick, which we usually go into topic 2 and 3. But we have our guest ready to go.
Okay.
So I think why don't we bring in our guest now, and that way we can get him in and get him out, because he's a busy guy. He's been a busy guy all year with how many games this guy's played. Spencer Borsos of the Notre Dame Hounds. Spencer, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Absolutely. We're happy to have you. The mustache is looking fantastic. You're a big reason why the Notre Dame Hounds are winning our Movember campaign at the moment. But let's talk about the hockey, Spencer, because you've had a busy couple of weeks. You've had a busy season. You've played pretty much every single minute so far for the Hounds. Can you talk about just these last – let's start with the last 2 games against Kindersley. Obviously, the win on Tuesday last night was a bit of a tough loss. Walk us through those 2 games from your perspective.
Yeah, I feel like while we've played Kindersley this year, I feel like we should have had a couple more wins. But so I think coming into Tuesday, we all knew it was a must-win game, and boys pulled through, and it was a huge win. Wednesday, yeah, like you guys were saying, it was kind of not the cleanest game, and unfortunately, we ended up on the wrong side of it, and definitely probably not my best performance. But yeah, I feel like our team just continues to improve each game, and I'm excited to see where we end off.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I've noticed as well, and I know Nugsy talks about it all the time. You guys just keep getting better and better. But with weather the last couple of days has been pretty crazy. Obviously, kind of went 0 to 60 really quick. What on Tuesday night we talked about the pushing of the warm-ups and everything. As a starting goaltender, does that kind of stuff really mess with you, or did you kind of not mind the extra half hour before the game started? What was that like for you?
Yeah, it's kind of a bit different. Obviously, everyone has their pregame routine and everything like that. Obviously, I'm kind of time. I have each thing I want to do is at a specific time, and obviously, when the game being pushed back, that kind of messes it up a little bit. But at that time, you just got to stay loose. It is what it is. There's nothing you can control, and if you're just in your head, kind of freaking out about, I didn't do this at this time, then you're just not going to be focused and not ready for the game.
Well, that's a good question there, Clark. I have noticed you, Boris, like you are sitting there stretching, getting into the zone before a game, and you got a book, like a journal out or something in front of you. Do you kind of write down? What do you kind of write in there, as much as you're willing to share with us?
Yeah, and there it has my stretch routine down, and then it's got a couple reminders that I like to read out loud to myself to kind of keep myself in the zone and remember everything that I've done to prepare for the moment. And yeah, I feel it helps me keep centered.
There you go. That's good tip for any young players, and especially goalies. I just think you got to be a particular type of human being, not necessarily crazy.
Weirdos. Sorry, Spencer.
I just admire goalies. I really like people call them crazy. I just admire them because I feel like it's such a kind of a vulnerable position, and it's so easy to just say this, it's my fault when the team loses, and it's not the case, but that's easy, I'm sure. So maybe you could just take me through your journey with that, Spencer. Like, how do you keep so level? Because, I was mentioning this to somebody recently that, I thought, of all the goalies, a lot of the goalies that I've met, you kind of handle the ups and downs of it all so well. Like, is that something from the way you've been raised or something that you've learned, or is it still a big struggle for you? Or tell us about that.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely taken a big jump for me this season. Obviously, playing pretty much every game, I feel like if I'm going up with the highs and lows, then I'm never going to be consistent. So I feel like keeping centered and keeping my mind not really too results focused and just kind of taking it game by game has really helped me.
Spencer, just so you're aware, I called you a weirdo a second ago, and I just want to make sure you know my brother's a goalie. He's actually in the Wall of Fame out there in Notre Dame. If you want to check him out, Scott Munroe, he's on the wall. So I'm allowed to say that goalies are weird because I have a family member who's a goalie. So just so you know, it wasn't a slur.
I don't know. Honestly, just knowing Spence, like it would take a lot to offend him and insult him.
Good.
Honestly,
that's good. So, you mentioned your workload, Spencer. I'd love to talk about that a little bit. Is this something that you've done in the past in terms of maybe teams you've played on in your competitive career where you've pretty much played? I'm going to say like 90% of the minutes so far. Yeah.
He's played 283 minutes, more than anybody. He's the only player in the SJHL over 1,000 minutes.
There you go. And already. I mean, last year we had a couple goalies. You played against them, Topher Chirico up in Larange and James Venn for Melfort. They got a ton of minutes. Is this something that you're relishing? Is this something you're loving? How is this? How have you approached this season as a 20-year-old goaltender getting this kind of minutes?
Yeah, going through my junior career, obviously every year I kind of, in those kind of preseason meetings with the coach, I'm always ready to play every game. I'm competitive. I want to be in every game. Obviously, I know that's not always the case being a goalie, but my rookie year, we struggled. There's a lot of injuries with goalies, a lot of goalies moving around. So I actually ended up playing like over 30 games my rookie year, which is kind of crazy for a rookie goalie. So that was huge. Last year didn't play as many games as I would have wanted to, went through some injuries and stuff like that. But, none of that really affected me. I knew coming into this year I was going to be called upon a lot, and that really helped me focus this off season, and it's gone well so far, and I'm super happy to play every game.
So coming back as a 20-year-old goaltender, now you have backup goaltenders that are 18, 17, et cetera, Caden Perron. I think Stephen Walrick was backing you up this week as an AP player. What's it like now with the perspective and the experience that you've had now having those younger guys? What kind of a relationship do you guys have with the younger guys?
Yeah, we all have a great relationship. I feel like even when I was younger with my older goalie partners, I always had a good relationship. You can always see in those media timeouts going to the bench and just having a quick little laugh or a quick little talk, maybe discussing a play or just kind of getting your mind off it a little bit. I feel like that's really helped me, and I think it helps them too. I remember when I was a rookie and, being so stressed out and so amped up to play every game, and when you get your opportunity, not messing up and all that stuff, when at the end of the day, it is just a game. We've all done our work. We've all prepared, and it's a lot of fun, so you just got to stay in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see you guys getting along. Obviously, Johan Tremblay-Cow, terrific dude too, and just somebody you can hang out with and not really offend, and he's just a good dude too. So I can see how you guys got along great last year too, being that type of personality. But I got to ask you, offended is not the right word. I wonder how you took it last year with, obviously you get traded from the Calgary Canucks, and then everything kind of goes down in the AJ. And I don't want to bring sort of tough memories or anything, but I'm just curious how you approached it. For those that don't know, obviously a bunch of the teams in the AJHL left and went off to the BCHL, and ultimately the team that you played for a long time, kind of your hometown team, the Calgary Canucks, ended up going on and hosting the Centennial Cup and doing pretty well in it. I guess, were you happy for them? Were you able to be happy for those guys? Were you, a little bit upset, being like, oh, it would have been nice maybe? Or I guess, how did you kind of approach that last year?
Yeah, obviously, like all my best buddies are on that team. There's a lot of Calgary kids there, so obviously super happy for them. And getting traded to Notre Dame, I feel like it was the best decision for me. Don't think I was getting maybe the games or the minutes I felt I earned. And obviously they had a really good goalie there, and he was kind of running with it. So I needed to do what was best for me. And, Notre Dame expressed interest not only to finish out last year, but then also for this year too, which was huge for me. So yeah, obviously maybe it would have been nice to win the league, but I'm happy where I'm at. And yeah, super happy for the boys that got to win it back home.
So Spencer, obviously you've already surpassed your win total from last year. Last year you only got 10 games in last year. You have 21 games already this year. You already have a better goals against. You have a better save percentage. What kind of stuff what kind of goals do you put on your season for this year? Given it's your 20-year-old year, obviously it's a big year for any 20-year-old, but for goalies, I always find it's just a little different. So what kind of goals do you have for yourself that you're willing to share?
Yeah, obviously, final year. I don't really kind of last kick of the can. Obviously, I want to be moving on to the next level here, and that's definitely my goal. But at the end of the day, like I said, my goal going into every year is to just play as much as I can and be as consistent as I can. And I feel like that's a goal that's kind of not really measurable when you look at it as you're playing through it. And it's more kind of a hindsight goal, but I definitely feel like that's one of the main things that I'm pushing towards.
I know he would kill me if I don't shout him out. Obviously, Anthony Stapleton, the Notre Dame goalie coach. I know you and Caden work pretty closely with him. But I want to ask you, people often ask goalies, which NHL goalie do you watch and do you like and pattern yourself after? And in some ways I'm asking that, but I just want specific, as technical and as detailed as you're willing to say. Like, is it an edge? Is it a way this guy skates? Is it the way that he holds his blocker or his glove? What is it about you, whatever NHL goalie that you kind of like and pattern yourself after, that you have seen and you try to adapt and that you like?
Yeah, I feel like growing up, it's every goalie's favorite goalie is Carey Price, just because of how calm he is, his movement and all that kind of stuff. But kind of modern day Jake Ottinger for me in Dallas. Obviously, I don't have the size that he has, but his movement, his compete, and just always seems calm and in position every single time. That's kind of something that I kind of strive for.
Yeah, not many people do have his size, so yeah, he's a big boy. So you're off until next Tuesday. You play the Clippers again. So how will you prepare? What's the team preparing for with basically a week off, but playing the exact same opponent going into next Tuesday?
Yeah, I feel like we just got to take the positives out of these last 2 games, right? I feel like Tuesday was definitely our probably full 60-minute effort, which was huge for us. And then obviously, I feel like even last night there were times where we dominated them. Obviously, we had that big comeback, and then kind of slipped up a bit in the third. So I feel like we just got to learn from that. And we know we can beat these guys. We got to go into the game knowing that we can win it. And I feel like it's going to be another tight game. And yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. And last question for me, Spence, and I really appreciate your time, especially after, playing back-to-backs, waking up in the morning, coming to talk to us. That means a lot. We really appreciate it. Clark kind of mentioned it there, but, this team is certainly playing better. Like, I think over the last 8 to 10 games, probably, you guys have been in every one and really could have won or gotten something from every single one of those games. And so, I guess, what is it that you're seeing? You've been around the block. You've played so many junior games now. What is it that you're seeing, about this team that has made them a lot more competitive, a lot harder to play against the last, 10 games or so?
Yeah, like we are on the younger end of the spectrum in terms of age. So obviously I knew there was going to be a bit of a learning curve kind of coming into the year. And I feel like, as everybody gets more comfortable, everyone's playing more games, everyone's kind of coming to their own, what they can do in this league. It's really helping a lot. And obviously, as we're getting wins down the stretch, people are now having that belief that we can do this. So we just got to continue that.
Well, there you go. Spencer, thanks so much for joining us today. All the best, and we'll let you get back to work. We'll chat with you down the road.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Love you, buddy.
There we go. You're not biased at all.
Oh, hey, I say it. I'll say it all the time. When I'm around him all the time, I say, hey, it's the best goalie in the SJHL. Let's all open the door for him. We'll be like,
Great
hey,
kid.
Best goalie in the SJHL.
Great kid. That was, of course, Notre Dame Hounds goaltender Spencer Borsos. Okay, let's get back to the hat trick now that we're making the whole full circle here. Topic number 2 of the hat trick, of course, we want to look at the league scoring leaders. We want to look at the league goaltending leaders, and we'll look at the standings all in one topic. It's a big, massive topic, so we're going to talk about it. Let's have a look at the league scoring leaders first. So we got Caden Drury is still leading the way, and Jerron Denway, as of course, also right there. Dustin Renas for Yorkton has really popped off in the last little while. Jerome Maharaj and Ethan DK, since they've arrived in Weyburn, have been red hot. You look at Ethan DK's goal. He's leading the league in goals. He hasn't even been here all year. Is he this year's Kean Bell? We'll talk about that maybe. Mason Buchert, of course, has been really hot lately. And, of course, Laurent has jumped up the standings because of it. Nikita Ivashenko from Battleford is having a really nice year. Jacob Stritzy's been off for a while, and he's still in the top 8 of scoring. Logan Belton's right there, and Riley Cote's having a great year for Melford as well. There's 4. Now, can you put that up one more time really quick? There's a note at the bottom there. There's 4 players also at 20 points. So Kelly, our designer, our graphic designer, just wanted to mention Kai Benosh is there. Cole Thomas is having a great couple of games, great couple of weeks. Trey Fouquet's right there, and Max Chakrabarty is also right there. So, Nugsy, does anything jump out at you when you look at the league leaders?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Weyburn is worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
They are fun. And yes, they lost 2 games. I'm still very interested to see how they're going to rally from that. But whenever you get to watch a talent like Ethan DK, a talent like Jerome Maharaj, like these guys play with such a freedom that I wish I had in my professional life to just go out and do my thing every game day and not worry about this and that. They just play free and fun. And I remember we interviewed Jerome Maharaj on the weekly show, I believe, and I said, do you do things and try things, and it's almost like a fadeaway three in hockey, in basketball, where Cody Mapes is like, wait, oh, okay. But like it always seems to work out for those two guys, but they're so veteran, they're so experienced, and they know that they can kind of take advantage of guys at times. So they're fun to watch. But yeah, Caden Drury, man, keep on keeping on, because he doesn't cheat in the D zone either. No. He works hard, and I love to see it's typical Saskatchewan type of kid, right? Like, he might have a lot of talent, a lot of skill, but he doesn't cheat in the D zone. And I gotta give Caden Drury a lot of props.
Yeah, Max Chakrabarty too. Big shout out to him. Trey Fouquet's having a great year for Humboldt on the blue line. Yeah, and then I noticed there's also 6 players at 19 points, so they're like right on the edge as well. Carter Anderson's been so good lately. He's really popping off. 12 goals on the season. He's second in the league in goals right now. Zach Anderson from Kindersley, who we saw the last couple of days, has played really, really well for Kindersley. Yeah. Marko Djordjevic having a great year for Notre Dame. 19 points in 22 games. Ryder Ringor, he's a kind of, I'm not going to call him a newcomer, I guess, because he's new to the league this year, but he's not a newcomer. He's been around the block. In junior A hockey. Jaden Aogan, 19 points as well. He's that kind of that wingman for Caden Drury at times, and he's doing great things. And Boris Kaufman, a point per game in Humboldt as well with 19 points. So lots of guys, and we could keep going on, but that's the top 20. It rounds out the top 20. Let's look at the goalies now. Because this one's interesting. You see Callum Craig leading the way for Yorkton, the rookie sensation. He hasn't played in a while because Yorkton's kind of they've had a slower schedule in a while in the last little stretch, but he had a great showing at the SJHL MJHL Junior A Showcase in Warman. I know they lost that game, but I thought he still played pretty solid. But his numbers in the SJ this year are fantastic. Matt Malaka for Melfort's doing a great job as the backup goaltender, because you'll see his partner Christian Coombs just below him with equally as good, if not better, numbers. Dazza Mitchell, and there's an interesting thing about Dazza Mitchell. I don't know how much we can really say right now about his situation, but he's having an amazing 20-year-old year. And Angelo Zoll has played more than him, who's also having an amazing year. We talk about the Weyburn goalies a lot. Edward Gauthier down there in Humboldt, he's having a solid season as well, and I think he's just going to keep getting better. Loic Moran has been injured, so he hasn't played in a while. It feels like he hasn't played in a while. Yeah. But you see his buddy Nick Jeanette just below him. He's creeping up in the standings. This is all sorted by goals against average, by the way, if you haven't noticed. And then Graham Brown and Brett O'Halloran, the rookies at the bottom there as well, putting up great seasons. Brett O'Halloran, of course, leads the league and wins as a goaltender. So, Nugsy, what stands out for you with the goalies this year?
I mean, first of all, and I'm sure both Coombs and Malaka would say, and they're very, very, very good goalies, so I'm not taking anything away from them. But the way that Melfort team can be so suffocating, you have to work so hard to get into the house, into the blue paint, into the center of the offensive zone against the Mustangs, and a lot of teams in this league have proven that it's just not able to do it on a given night, especially at the Northern Lights Palace. They just are suffocating, and certainly those guys are great goalies and they deserve props, but the Mustangs as a team deserve those stats because they play a great brand. And then you mentioned it, Brett O'Halloran, got to keep shouting him out. We all hope, I hope that Cody Jamin can find his footing, because he is an elite talent goaltender in this league. Yeah. I think both he and Borsos were not 100% great yesterday, but they both can be elite veteran goalies in this league. But that's great for Kindersley that they're right back up at the standings because of the work that Brett O'Halloran has done. So can't say enough about him.
Can I throw something at you?
We
didn't talk about this.
Can I dodge it?
We didn't script it. No, you can't dodge it. It's going to hit you right in the face.
Okay.
Top 3 goalies. If we were to do goalie of the year, I'll give you a second. I'll explain what I'm saying here. If we do goalie of the year as of today, so there's 3 candidates, and then we'll pick a winner. We don't have to necessarily pick a winner, but who would your goalie of the year candidates be as of today? Now, this can be numbers, but here's the thing. There's a couple guys with numbers that maybe aren't in the top 10 on that list that I think might still be in that conversation. So this is where I'm throwing it at you, because there's a guy, I'll just say, like a Justin Merrick, for example, he has a 332 goals against right now and a 901 save percentage. Maybe doesn't stand out as goalie of the year numbers, but by the end of the year, those might be better, and Battleford's is playing great. So like a guy like that could be included, for example.
Yeah. So you want me to pick 3?
Pick 3, like how we do the top 3 goalies of the year. We vote, and then there's a winner out of those 3. But we can just stick with the 3 for now, because it's too early to pick a winner, I think.
I'm gonna go Daza. Hopefully that works out.
Yeah.
I'm such a huge fan of Daza. I've said that for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he had 3 losses to start, and he's been 5-0 since. And he's been money.
And
he's been 930 plus every game.
And he was a candidate last year for goalie of the year.
So Daza, gotta say Coombs.
Yeah.
And man, the third one. I mean, do you throw out like an O'Halloran because of what he's done as a young guy? Those are the two obvious. Obviously, both Weyburn goalies could be in the discussion.
I know, right? That's the funniest thing. That's kind of why I wanted to say
tricky.
it.
Yeah, it's tricky. We have to see how the cookie crumbles. But yeah, I guess for right now, I'll say Daza and Coombs and Daza Coombs and why not Graham Brown?
Graham Brown. Yeah. There you go.
Big Graham Brown guy.
Bryce, do you have your camera set up? Do you want to bring yourself in and say what you said? Can you say what you said?
What did I say?
Didn't you say keeper? Ryan said keeper. Ryan said keeper.
Well, I mean, he will be. We need a bigger sample size. But that's a great
he's getting
call.
there. He's getting there.
His team is an absolute wagon right now. Obviously, Callum Craig deserves a lot of credit as well in Yorkton, but it's tough. It's tough because a bunch of the top teams in this league, and they recognize that coaches do, and they have the resources to bring these guys in and keep them happy. But a bunch of the good teams in our league have 2 guys that they've been rolling with. So to pick one kind of goalie of the year candidate is so tricky.
Like, it's so funny.
Yorkton and Weyburn and Melfort and Larange, like all these teams have 2 guys. So.
Yeah, if you sort by save percentage, Weyburn has 2 of the top 5 goalies.
Yeah.
Melfort has 2. Mad Malacca is not in the top 10. But either way, like it's such an interesting conversation. Yorkton has 2 of the top 9.
And you look at the wins, like Farrell has 9, Craig has 6.
Yeah.
Like, what a balance.
Yeah.
Daza has 5 wins, Zoll has 8 wins. Like, it's like, how do you pick? How do you pick one of those 2 guys?
Might be a little too.
Pick teams.
Might be a little too.
It's going to be a
early.
Jennings thing versus a Vezina.
Right.
Thing.
Yeah, it might be a little too early for the whole goalie of the year. I just wanted to throw that out there and see what we could come up with.
Yeah.
So,
good question.
Again, I think Justin Merrick is going to end up getting close to that conversation. I think Matthew Keeper, if he keeps getting the workload over Kenneth Marquardt, is going to end up in that conversation. Good one. Nailed it. You know what?
But he's never heard that one.
Spencer Borsos could end up in the conversation.
Spencer's so talented.
The minutes.
So
now,
talented.
he might be the type of guy. Remember last year, James Venn was in the MVP conversation.
Yeah.
That might be a conversation we have around Spencer Borsos, where if his numbers aren't there and he doesn't get the goalie, maybe he's in the MVP conversation.
Well, I'd say he's probably Notre Dame's MVP.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
These award things go to teams that win. Like, the Hounds.
That's why I said we'll see.
Hounds still have not won 2 games in a row all year, and I've said to them, like, you cannot be taken seriously until you win, have a win streak. Like,
let's get a win streak going.
Sorry, it's harsh. I love you all, boys, but you have to find a way to play back-to-back days.
I will say though, Nugsy, and I'm just going to double check my math here, but they have moved up in the standings in the last couple of days.
Yeah, I believe they're 10th, yeah.
They have more wins than Estevan. They're tied with Estevan, but they have more wins.
Lots of games in hand below them. But
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. Yes, thank you, producer Ryan in the back. Great segue to our next thing. League standings. Let's have a look at the league standings. As of today, like I said, Notre Dame has moved up into 10th. They have passed Estevan with the wins, of course, but Estevan has 5 games in hand. So we'll see what happens there. Lots of time for that. But as we look at the top, we see Melfort with 28. They're in first place. Weyburn has slipped down into second after their 2 losses from last weekend. Battleford's at 25. Yorkton at 24 in fourth place. Larange, Humboldt, and Kindersley, after last night's win by Kindersley, they're now all tied with 23 points for 5th place. Melville sits in 8th right now with 22. So Kindersley actually jumped over Melville last night with the win. Flin Flon is on the outside looking in with 21 points. But as you can see, Nugsy, from 9th to 1st is 7 points. There's a 7-point difference from 9th to 1st, which is basically 2 weeks. Like, you could get 9 points in 2 weeks, no problem. Like, if you're Flin Flon, you could have 30 points by, the end of next week if you play your cards right. So, like, I don't know how many games they play. I haven't looked at their schedule necessarily top of my head, but, like, that's 2-3 weeks. You could get right back into it. It's a crazy parity right now.
Kindersley was out of the playoffs.
Right.
And now look at them. They're 7th.
They're back in.
Melville was near the first place team in the league at one point.
Yep.
They had they've had a bad couple, 6 or so. Now they're in 8th. Like, this league we're covering is bananas. Like, it's so bananas. Like, there's no league in the world in any sport. I'd be crazy. Like, someone message me and give me a league that, looks like this. Like the Nipawin Hawks just beat and played very well against the Humboldt Broncos in Humboldt.
Yeah, shut them out.
At least junior A-League. Where is this happening? Like, I love the OJHL. I worked in that league for a long time.
Yeah.
There were nights you walked into rinks, and obviously Milton's in a much better place now, but say you play Milton years ago, and like if you don't win big, then you're like, what happened? Or like, the Mississauga Chargers, you don't win big, like what happened? Like Orangeville, etc. Like you have to really not show up to beat certain teams. There is just no off nights any way in this league, and I love it.
And Killer said that last week on this show. Is like there is no team in this league that we can take lightly. Even the bottom teams right now, no chance we're taking these guys lightly. And you saw Notre Dame, like Kindersley's fighting for playoff positioning right now. I know it's really early to say that, but they are. And Notre Dame got their win on Tuesday.
The Hounds were shot away from being tied with Melfort.
Right there, yeah.
Like it was 2-1, and Liam Hunks was kind of in alone on Malacca and tried to make a pass instead of shooting it. Like maybe he puts that in, maybe the Hounds get something from it. Like, well, it's wild, this league. Like, and usually coaches will say that. Like every year, coach speak, I can't take anybody lightly. It's the SJ parody, blah, blah, blah. Like, it is legit.
Now, I worked in the league before. I've followed the league most of my life because my brother played in it. We talked about that lots. But in my 3 years in this role that I've had, so not last season, the year before that, and then this season, this has to be the craziest year so far in this last 3 years that I've been a part of it in this role, like I said. Just in terms of any week, the standings, like we did power rankings this week, and it was like,
I basically had to start it with an apology. Like, well, sorry, but there's gonna be like moves 4 and up and 4 down.
Teams were legitimately playing like 1 or 2 games, barely anything, and they're moving up 4 spots or down 3. It's like this is insane. So it's a crazy year, and I hope it continues all the way through the trade deadline, all the way through the home stretch. There's going to be some crazy battles. We haven't seen a block of teams like in the last couple of years. It was about this time of year, about American Thanksgiving, where we saw a tier 1 of teams, a tier 2, and then a tier 3. Like they were there was at least some form of separation. There is no separation this year.
I would push back. Okay. I would say 1 to 9 is, and Rory said it on the show. He said, like whoever's 9 is going to be very good and miss out on the playoffs. 1 to 9 is a block right now, and 10 to 12 is a block.
Right, but I feel like you can't have that big of a tier. Like last year and the year before, there was like 3 teams, 4 teams, 5 teams.
Fair enough.
And this year, it's like 9 teams and 3. Like I feel like that's a different conversation.
It's cool.
And you know what? I'm just going to throw this chaos into the mix because I think chaos is fun. Estevan has 5 games in hand on a lot of these teams.
Yeah,
they win those 5, they're right back into it too.
Tarts loves the light start and the heavy finish.
Right, he does that all the time. So do not sleep on anybody at this moment. That's what we're saying. So that was topic number. Oh, you know what? Nope. We're going to look at division standings. So let's look. And this paints the picture a little bit in terms of this shows the past 10 games. So we see teams like Weyburn, Yorkton, Melfort, Battleford's even, they have been great in the last 10 games. Humboldt, Larange have been good. They're moving up a little bit. But we've seen, kind of 500-ish hockey from those guys. And then you look at the teams underneath all those teams. Melville, 3-6-0-1. That's uncharacteristic from their start. Flin Flon has been 500, but I would say that's trending up. That 5-5 is trending up, whereas a team like, the Kindersley, for example, 4-5-1, which is basically the same thing, I would say, trending not so up. Is all I'm saying. Estevan's 3-6-1 in their last 10. They've had a light schedule. That's very spread out, those 10 games over a long period of time. So that's going to pick up right away. We'll see how they do. And then Nipawin is 2-6-1-1. Sorry, Notre Dame's 500, which I would also say, like you said during our chat with Spencer, trending up. So it's a matter of it's a really interesting picture to paint as you look at those past 10 games and you look at the standings at the same time. Shout out to Viterra, Nutrien, and Sherwood, by the way.
Can I just shout out quickly? Viterra was a couple representatives was at the Viterra game night there in Weyburn on Friday between Weyburn and Battlefords, and they were right up on what was going on in the league and followed it, and we're really happy to be there, and we love our partners with this league.
Absolutely. Fantastic across the board. Let's have a look now. Nugs, I'm going to let you take over here for a sec. Can you go into the fantasy, our fantasy standings.
Everybody's got interested in the fantasy, absolutely.
Yes.
And of course, we are the most interested because it's us who's playing. But, certainly I do bug Ian Biors to keep getting points because he's my rookie. But, the IKS Crusaders are still dominating. Like, the guys in the back are just machines. 187 points in first place for the IKS Crusaders, led by Caden Drury, led by maybe the best last pick ever in a draft in Dustin Renas.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, 25
Hands
points. Last pick for them was Dustin Renas. Just we'll take Dustin Renas. I'm like, okay, that's a great pick, and he's been wonderful. So those are their top two. I am in second. Very slightly in second on 163. I've gotten obviously a big year from Jaron Denwaye, but also Jerome Maharaj just jumped in to the SJ, and a lot of people keep bugging me about how I knew about Jerome Maharaj, but that's a lot of fun. Obviously Trevor Blevins being my coach is pretty good. Ryder Ringers continued to play well lately for Flin Flon, and Jacob Streets, he can't stop scoring whenever he's healthy. For Humboldt. Then the third place team is Clark Munroe's Money Men. 1 point behind me.
186.
He's 1 point behind me.
What are you at?
I'm at 163, and you're at 162. The Crusaders are 187.
Right.
So that's a battle. But your leader right now is Jaden Iogan. You're very balanced. You're a really balanced guy.
That's my thing.
I have a couple guys at
Across
the top
the board.
and a couple guys at the bottom. You got you're really steady around it. So you got a bunch of millionaires, Rothke and Zacharias. Drusiak used to be a millionaire. Iogan. And obviously Keenan Ingram has been a nice pick actually for you in the end.
He came around. I was a little worried at the start, but he's come around.
Just the trigger man on
Doug
your
Johnson
great power
too.
play.
I got Doug Johnson as my coach. The big thing for me, I think, is I had Raiden Zacharias. He was gone to the WHL for a stretch of time, so I think I missed out on a few games there. Had he been around, I'd be
injuries.
You've also had stuff
whenever
going on,
Jacob Streetsy has been healthy, he's just unstoppable. So
So
everybody has a thing.
We have
like
a thing,
that. And then Rory, we've talked about Mason Buchert's really come alive. That is huge for him. Carter Anderson as well. Riley Kotai, got to see him in person there from Alfred. What a player. 6'3", 200, can fly, protect the puck, and shoot it. Unbelievable. Could have had 5 goals against Notre Dame if he didn't hit the post a couple, I think. But so Rory's, he's coming at 149 in third, or in fourth rather. And it's going to be a fun year. Very happy to get some production personally from Boston Harkness. First of all, great kid, great family. Melville Millionaires, Regina kid. And he's really come alive for Melville too, and had big minutes for Melville, which really helps. So there you go, fantasy update.
We'll have to
first place Crusaders,
Nuke
Z, Nukestradamus, Money Men, and then Rory.
Yeah, we're neck and neck. The one thing I would love to do an update on maybe the next time we do this is the extra team, because I know Jacob put together an extra team, Jacob Faith, Director of Marketing. But I just want to see, because he even has some guys that he probably missed. So I'd love to just do an update on people we didn't select and the leaderboard for that. All of them, not just Jacob's team that he selected. So next time we do this, we'll kind of pick and choose, we'll get our team standings done. And then I'd love to just know the other guys' leaderboards and just see who else is out there that we missed and who might be pick-upable if we end up doing a midseason pickup or swap. So
he's got Finley Radloff is a good pickup. Daza, obviously, his net. I don't know if you want to add another goalie, if that makes any sense.
Just add a goalie.
Ethan Sutton is really figuring it out lately. Obviously, Connor Miller was the best SJHL player at the showcase. He's on the shadow team.
But O'Halloran wasn't selected,
wasn't
right?
selected. Yeah, so there's a good list.
Leading the league in wins. And there's a few skaters that I'd be oh, man. Did anyone pick Ethan DK?
Well, he wasn't.
He wasn't around at the time.
Even me, quote unquote, the insider had no idea. I don't even think Cody Mapes knew that Red was getting Ethan DK when we did the
DK's
draft.
out there. Nikita Ivashenko. Did anyone pick Ivashenko?
No, he was a miss.
So he's another one. Did somebody pick Banoche? No. Cole Thomas?
No.
Right? So there's some guys and Zach Anderson from Kindersley. He's another one. Georgievich. Did you pick Georgievich?
No.
So Georgievich, another one.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys. Anyways, we'll do next time we do this, we'll do a other guys leaderboard and just see who we missed and who's having a great season. Speaking of leaderboards, Let's have a look at the Movember leaderboard. We are up over $15,000 overall. I just want to point out the SJHL staff jumped up a little bit because I added $60 to my total. I got a donation from a TikTok follower of mine. I got a donation from my buddy Myron in Ontario and my father. So I got 60 extra bucks.
There you go.
So there you go. I'm pushing it. I'm at 140 now myself individually. So I'm crushing. Bryce, I'm ahead of you. And, I think was part of my donation was actually Bryce. I'm not mistaken, Bryce. I think you actually gave me money. So thank you for that. But, yeah, we're up over $15,000. And I noticed that Yorkton has joined the party. They're at $355 after being at $0 not that long ago. So shout out to Yorkton, being great. Estevan was at $50 not that long ago. They're now at $550. So shout out to Estevan for jumping in. Kindersley, after being at $0, is at $100. And Flin Flon was also at $0. They're at $160. So huge shout out. And I know for a fact Estevan is now putting a big push out there because I don't know if you saw, Marty Martinson was on, he did a little Estevan Bruins update on their YouTube channel the other day from their offices in Estevan, and he was really pumping the Movember stuff. So I know that Estevan, as soon as I live there, I work for the team, as soon as they get behind some sort of donation thing, oh boy, look out. They're a strong, generous community. And I'm not saying the other communities aren't. I'm just saying I've experienced Estevan firsthand. So look out. Estevan's coming. Yeah. So stay tuned for that. We'll give you more updates as we go. But Movember.ca, I don't know, do we have the, yes, thank you. Movember.ca, Movember.com. I keep saying Movember.ca. I think if you type in Movember.ca, it'll take you to the right website. But if you're watching on a laptop or anything, there's a QR code. You just put your phone up to it on camera mode. It'll take you right to the SJHL Challenge. You can donate to any team you want or the SJHL staff. Jump on board. We want to get to 20,000. That's the next goal. 20,000. We're already at 15. We still have, 10 days left? 9 days left? So what was there, 31 days in November? I always get that mixed up. 30 or 31?
30.
30? So we have 9 days left, including today. So don't wait. Get on it now. Throw your donations around. That's fantastic. We're doing great things for Movember and men's health, which is obviously very important across the board, and we want to raise awareness for that as well. So, Nugsy, anything to add on Movember? You're doing a great job, by the way.
Well,
it's coming in nicely.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm not on the staff actually.
Right.
I'm on Notre Dame. And
I think you are actually on the staff page, though.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm very proud of the Junior Hounds boys. We had a guy who promised to match everything as it comes in. So
You're
that's
not
pretty
on the
cool.
staff page. Sorry.
No, I'm not on the staff page. I'm the captain of the Notre Dame Hounds Movember team. Brett won't let me in the actual lineup, so I found a way to contribute this way. So that's cool. But the boys have done a great job. Seen some good mows just around the league, just in general. Yeah. So just this is something that's obviously beyond our tribalism, our need to win. This is winning for all men everywhere. That we're tired of seeing men not talk about what is bothering them, what needs to be taken care of, so we're really proud in this league of just everybody and the way it's all gone.
Shout out to Movember. We got some beautiful hats here from our captain, Kelly Lewick, our SJHL staff captain.
We got to shout him out. Yeah. What a job he's done.
Ton of hard work that he's putting in. He's always promoting stuff, always pumping it up, making sure he's giving updates. He has raised $606 himself. Also, shout out to Jacob Faith, who has $230 himself. Bryce is at $100, and Commissioner Kyle is only at $90. Commissioner Kyle, come on, man, get some donations going here, Commissioner Kyle. He's such a huge network of people. I'm surprised. So Kyle, I don't know if I'm calling you out right now, but I'm not calling you out, I guess, is what I'm saying. So there you go. Anyways, either way, Movember, keep donating, keep crushing it, and that's great. Let's have a look at the week ahead because we're now at that point. Friday, tomorrow night, there are 5 games. Battlefords is in Estevan. That should be a great one. Again, Estevan needs to start catching up with some teams and gaining some ground, and they have a ton of games in hand to do it. So no better time than now to start it. Melville is in Yorkton. Now, I'm trying my best to get there. My dad was going to come with me to this one. We were going to go to the Yorkton-Melville game. He's not coming now. So, Nugsy, if you're not coming, I don't know if I'm going or not. But I'm not putting pressure on you. I'm just saying, me and Nugsy may or may not be there. The Flin Flon Bombers are hosting the Nipawin Hawks, and like we said earlier, Flin Flon is right on the outside of the playoff race right now. So this is a big 2 points, and Nipawin is not an easy out, as we mentioned. They just beat Humboldt 1-0 in their last action. If I'm not mistaken, that was their last game played. So they're looking to keep that going. Melfort is in Kindersley for a back-to-back. This is a 2-game series in Kindersley, and Humboldt is in La Ronge up at the Mel Hagelin Uniplex. On Saturday, we'll see a couple of similar matchups on Saturday. Again, Battleford remains in Estevan for that second half of that back-to-back. Yorkton flip-flops with Melville, so the Highway, I always get this one bad. Highway 10, because I always get them in Estevan, Weyburn, Highway 39. It's Highway 10. They flip-flop, so it's in Melville on Saturday night. Flin Flons flip-flops with Nipawin, so they flip-flop home games. Melfort remains in Kindersley, and Humboldt remains in La Ronge. Nugsy, is there a series this weekend, because it's pretty much all series, that you're looking forward to more than any other one necessarily?
There always seems to be some juice, and I don't know really why, because they're so far away from each other. But Estevan in Battleford's at Affinity Place, over the last number of years is always a doozy. And we had a Sasktel game of the month there when the Battleford North Stars were an absolute wagon and a half a couple of years ago. Yeah. And myself and Jordan Fry, I believe, did color. I might be wrong, but Jordan Fry, who's now a linesman, of course.
Great dude.
A great dude. Former La Ronge Ice Wolves goaltender. We called that game, and honestly, like, it was a regular season game, but it was one of the best games, one of the best games I've ever called. It was 1-0, I believe, or maybe it was the year Estevan was a wagon and Battleford went in and won. I think that's what it was.
That makes sense.
But anyways, Sam Witt, I think, of Battleford scored the only goal in a 1-0 game. The goalies were terrific. The game was electric. Yeah. It was just wild. I've called some of the best games of my life at Affinity Place. I've got such great memories there. But there's something about Battleford's and Estevan. And you know what? Battleford's is flying. Estevan has always been better under Tarts when they've sat around and people have said they're no good and they're done and Tarts is done and they've turned on him and blah, blah, blah. That is exactly, Clark, when the Estevan Bruins show up. Always.
They have a really powerful bulletin board in Estevan.
Exactly.
Bulletin board material goes a long way. Yeah, so Estevan.
So get out to that game.
Here's some bulletin board material for you, Bruins.
Well, no, I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying. But so
you're not saying. You're just saying.
That's the one.
The one I'm looking forward to is I'm going to keep my eye on the Mel Hagelin Uniplex up in La Ronge. Humboldt and La Ronge are both 6-4 in their last 10 games. La Ronge is coming off 2 wins against Estevan last week, where they routed the Bruins on 14-2 over 2 games. Humboldt is coming off that loss to Nipawin last weekend. So I'm looking at this. They're currently tied in the standings. I think this is going to go a long way to maybe this is 4 points. So like if they split it, oh well. But if one of these teams is able to win both of these games, it could be the start of something in terms of maybe going on a run. Especially if La Ronge wins both and they're on a 4-game winning streak. Look out. Like, La Ronge has such an interesting team this year. So keep an eye on that series. I'm keeping an eye on all of them, of course, but that one just maybe a little bit extra. And it's an interesting one, Nugsy. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, so it's a Friday night game, obviously. Saturday's at 2:30. So I think it's their sportsman dinner night where they play a game in the afternoon and then everybody goes and hangs out at the sportsman dinner. Because I'm pretty sure Matthew Barnaby is doing their sportsman dinner this year. So
Killer can pull, what can I say?
Wow, he knows a couple people.
Knows people.
So anyways, I think it's a big weekend in La Ronge, and they're going to have a great weekend. So if you're in the area, I mean, no better time than to go to a hockey game. And then if there's still tickets available, get to that sportsman dinner, because I know Matthew Barnaby. I've talked to him in my other job that I do, guest book for a sports talk show. Easy. Sports guest booker for a sports talk show. The Rod Peterson show, of course.
Backbone.
Matthew Barnaby has been on multiple times, and he's always so good. He has like a million stories. So if you're in the area and there's still tickets available, I'm not sure if there is for the La Ronge Ice Wolves Sportsman Dinner, go to it. Anyways.
Yeah, also, Melville has lost 6 in a row. But let me tell you something.
Well, the Highway 10 rivalry, we didn't even talk about that.
When Melville plays Yorkton, and it's something different. It doesn't matter what happened the last 600,000 games. Doesn't matter.
No.
When those two play each other, there is hatred. There is intensity. It's very fun. That's going to be a fun little series. We've talking about going. I don't know if I can. I've been away from Mrs. Neugebauer a little bit too much probably lately. But that is going to be juicy.
Yeah.
Between those two. And, Doug Johnson's going to be coaching his heart out.
Yeah.
Emery's going to be like, not on my watch will we let the Melville Millionaires get back in the saddle. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, and it's two teams right now who are kind of coming into this weekend on very different paths.
Yeah.
Yorkton's won 5 in a row. Melville has lost, or not lost, and in overtime, 6 in a row. So it's like Melville's mad. Yorkton's coming in confident. So it's like, oh boy. And you know what? Again,
storylines are full.
We'll go back to what I said about Laurent and Humboldt series. It's 4 points, and if Melville pulls both wins out, they actually leapfrog Yorkton in the standings. So Melville could potentially move up with 2 wins into the top 4. They're in 8th. They could move into the top 4. Like, it's just like, this league is insane, you guys.
It's crazy.
Let's give another shout out to our sponsors before we take off here today. Cantera Seeds, Borgo, Capital Auto Mall, Sask Lotteries, Chevrolet. Chevrolet sponsors, they're the official vehicle sponsor of the SJHL. Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Nutrien, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, UPL, of course, sponsoring. You can see them on the wall over behind Nugsy there, UPL. They are broadcast sponsor, SGEU, Great Western, SGI, and RBC. Thank you to our sponsors. If you can't make it to the rinks, get your Flow Hockey subscription, and you can check out all the action on there. Or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or right here on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. I haven't done an update in a little bit. I haven't checked. I think, last time I checked, we were like right behind 1,500 subscribers on YouTube. I'm just going to check now. If you're watching on YouTube, we are at 1,490 subscribers. We need 10 people to just click the red button. And I know for a fact that a good chunk of people who watch all of our videos on YouTube do not subscribe. So please go hit the subscribe button if you can. It's really easy and it helps us out a lot more than you think. So the more numbers, the better. Go do that. Click subscribe. There are 10 games this weekend, so keep it locked to sjhl.ca. We'll have you covered with all of it. Nugsy, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And we will see you guys on Monday for SJHL Weekly to recap the big weekend, and next Thursday right back here on SJHL Insider. So until then, enjoy the hockey, everyone. Have a good weekend.